Well, a very good morning to you. It is Monday morning, June the 27th, 1994. Welcome. My name is Frank Sontag. It's time for the Impact program. Impact is the in-studio guest format where we discuss a wide variety of topics. Tonight I do have an in-studio guest who someday will be in the Sontag Guinness Book of World Records. I guess that would be the Sontag Book of World Records for the most appearances on the Impact program. My friend Ray Castellani is here. Ray is the founder of the Frontline Foundation, and it's good to see you, brother.
Hey, it really is good to see you.
How are you?
As always. I feel pretty good. I mean, I'm talking about physically. I feel pretty good. When everybody asks you how you are, people say, "Oh, I'm fine," but I haven't been too fine. But in the last 4 weeks, I've sort of picked up a lot of strength. I know that's doesn't make anybody say, "Well, what's all that about?" But that's how I feel. I feel better physically and mentally.
Well, you look good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. The Frontline Foundation, I would think that there are probably some listeners that have heard you from the very beginning on my show and have never bothered or have never felt compelled enough to meet you yet. And there are some people that have never heard you before. So first off, talk a little bit about the Frontline Foundation.
Okay, Frank. I want to say, preface this by saying I've met a lot of the KLOS listeners and a lot of the people that work with you and are supporting Frontline, especially in the last few months. But they've also supported through the past, we've been together, it's going to be 6 years this year, I believe. We're 6 years. Frontline is 7 years old. I think I met you in my first year. Anyway, basically, Frontline is a name that was given to this organization early on by a gentleman by the name of Be Back Black on the streets of Skid Row. In fact, you met him on Skid Row.
I remember Be Back. Right? I do.
And as they were going through the line, he said this friend of mine who was with me in the beginning, Fred Perry, he said, this is really the front line of life. And so that's where we got the name Frontline, we call Frontline Foundation. And basically, Frontline Foundation serves food to the hungry of Skid Row. And that's basically what we do. It's immediate. It's not something that people, we give them canned goods. We don't do any of that stuff. It's just really street serving of food. And we have served over, as of last week, but 400 and pretty close to 405,000 meals. And that's it. I mean, that's a staggering amount of meals, and I also want to say this, that I never set out to do this, and this was just a truly a miracle. And I believe this, if in all my heart, that this is truly a miracle given to all of us, really.
I was going to ask you, the next question was, since you founded Frontline 7 years ago, is this, before Frontline, is this something that you've done all your life? Have you been,
No.
you've founded other nonprofit organizations,
No.
and you just decided to start feeding homeless people 7 years ago?
No, it wasn't even a decision on my part. It was not a decision on my part. This whole deal, the whole situation, the whole aura of Frontline was given to me by something, call it God, call it the man upstairs, whatever one wants to say. It was a power that came to me, and I just fulfill the little conditions on a daily basis. I am very strong in my belief. I am unwavered in my beliefs. I do not equivocate in any way, shape, or form. I know where it comes from. I know what's been done, and I am not the kind of a guy that set out in life to say, "Oh, I want to be a nice guy," or "I want to be what's the word? Just a nice guy." I guess I'm not. I was not. I was in that very minuscule group of our society. I was a liar. I was a cheat. I was dishonest, and I was a lot of things that were not proper, as I see it today, deceitful, and so the act of me, the circle surrounding me, had to be cleaned up. And as the process of that taking place, then I became an instrument for the use for humanity, so to speak, and the choice of me was not, I didn't choose Skid Row. It was just, that's where I had to go. And the food that came, the money that came, it just came. It came because I was a channel to be used. I've never, as you know, a year ago, we were on the end of the trail, and I thought it was over with. But it wasn't so, and I'd like to say loud and clear that Frontline is healthy. I've said, I think on your last show, but it's healthy. We are healthy. It's a healthy group. We are being of service to mankind, and we are not dictated by anybody or anything, and I won't tarnish it or dirty it in any way, shape, or form, and so that's. I don't want new listeners or old listeners or anybody for that matter to get the wrong impression. I'm not. I do this because this is what I have to do. It's laid out for me to do. I don't do it because I'm looking for. I don't receive anything. I don't want anything. That's not what I'm into this thing. I'm into it because this is what I am directed to do, and this is what I'm doing. And I know so many times, whenever you get to talking about homelessness or people on the streets or all this, everybody's got so many ideas. All as I do is just feed a few people. That's all I do. And I want to just clear that up because people out there right now are clicking on, oh, well, he's Mr. Goody Two-Shoes, and these people should get jobs. And I'm sick and tired of hearing all that stuff. I'm not there for any other reason except to help my fellow man. And that's what I'm there for. I don't even want to help myself. I am free of self. It's none of this, I feel good because I do this stuff and all this rhetoric that goes on and on and on and on and on. I'm directed to go feed my brother and my sister on the street, and that's what I do, and that's all I do.
So what you're saying is it's one thing to know or to have ideas to do things, but the bottom line is if you don't take action on it.
Frank, that is the whole story. Jeez, everybody's got ideas. They sit around and talk about how great, and I'll do this and I'll do that, but nothing gets done. It's like the little Chinese dinner that you have. The people that came to there from KLOS took an action. That's what it's all about. It's about that action. It's not about telling somebody, you should call this place or you should call that place. It's not about that. It's about the individuals taking action and saying, here, this is what I've done for you. Thank you. Bam, boom, ba. And that's what it's about. Ideas, everybody is filled with ideas. Rooms are filled with ideas. Psychiatrists' offices are filled with ideas. Churches are filled with ideas. It's the action. If I want to get across the street, I can sit on one side of the street and I can say, geez, I'd like to get across the street. And there'll be 1,000 people telling you how to get across the street. But until I walk across the street and actually take the action and walk across the street, I'm not going to walk across it. I can read the manual of how to jack up a car. I think I've said that. I can read it, and I look at the tires not changed. And I keep reading it. We'll jack up the car, blah, blah, and I look at the tires still flat. Until I literally go over there and start jacking that car up and taking the lug nuts off and taking an action. I can know that manual cold turkey. My God. I can learn everything there is to know in books, but until I take that action, I'm a defeated human being in anything I do. So I believe in action that's the whole process.
And 7 years ago, when you decided to take action and form Frontline Foundation, was that something that you were clear on that was going to blossom into 7 years later, 400 and some thousand meals would be served?
No. Because, see, there was no preconceived ideas. I had absolutely no preconceived ideas. But the immediate action taken is what went on to the next action taken, and so on down the line. Oh, no. I just thought it'd be a couple of... I just want to fulfill my little deal, my little destiny deal. And basically it was, okay, God, what do you want me to do? You want me to feed a few people? Fine, I'll feed a few people and I'm off. I want to go to the beach or I want to do something else. And... But it was not an idea of a long-range plan. And I believe that if it was, I'd still be talking about it. I mean, let's think about that, Frank. If I started talking to you about how you and I, just the two of us right now, will start to feed, let's just put an arbitrary figure out, 500,000 human beings in, let's say, Mexico, okay? We'll still be talking about it. We could be talking, well, where are we going to get the food? Where are we going to get the money? How are we going to get the trucks? Now, it's the first day I walk and I say, hey, I'll make a couple of sandwiches and go downtown or go wherever it has to go. And the rest is history. So now I plan a little bit. You know, we have to pay our little rent and pay this and pay that. But I don't have any preconceived ideas about the future either. I mean, if we close shop tomorrow with dignity, the people of Skid Row, they understand more so than I'll ever understand. They are truly my. I have a story. God, if I'd love to tell you about somebody on Skid Row that happened to me about. If I may, can I take that little liberty here?
Please. That's why I have you here.
I was about 3 weeks ago. I was not feeling well. I have to say I was. My heart was not too well, and I was just not too well. This happened 3 weeks ago, and I had gone downtown, and there's this lovely woman. Her name is Brenda, and she is. She's one of the little people of our society, and she lives on the streets, and she shakes a bucket of change in the middle of the street to get money, and she's been on the streets many a times, and many years, and so I saw this. It was about 3 weeks ago, and when she saw me, she said, "Hey, Papa." And I stopped. I was, like I said, not feeling well. And I went over to her and I knelt down and I looked at her and I said, "I don't feel good, Brenda." And she just, as quick as she looked at me, and her arms are very short, and she put them around my neck, and she tucked her head in my shoulder here. And she said, "It'll be okay. I love you." And she went back and held me at her arm's distance. And she said, "Look at me." And I looked at her and she said, "We're going to make it. We're going to make it. It's going to be okay. We're going to make it." And I was so touched by this incident that this woman that there's nobody in this town would even want. And yet this woman put her arms around me and gave me strength, gave me courage. And she's at the very bottom of our society. I have felt that I was touched by an angel at that moment. And that, to me, is a cherished soul. And for a brief split second in our world today, there was a true moment. And this is what I'm blessed with. This is not about serving food. This is not about bringing water down to human beings. It's about a connection. It's about a connection of one human being to another human being. It's a connection of life. It's a connection of good. It's a connection of love. It's a connection of compassion. It's a connection of purity, those words that I speak of so much, purity. It's a connection of honesty. It's a connection of selfishness. And that's what I'm all about. That's what I'm all about. That's why I don't address mundane, silly little idiotic questions of why I do this to the public, to the people that they can get jobs or they can't get jobs, or I don't care where I am, whether I'm in the studio here talking to you, or whether I'm on Skid Row, or whether I'm whatever it is. It's the connection. It's a connection of love. That's what this world is so lacking and so torn apart about. And I've seen it. I want to put these things down on a piece of paper. I want to say, Jesus, folks, let's hold hands for once and get through today with a little bit of love. What's wrong with that? I mean, if this woman on the street that is tarnished with the dirt of our street, and tarnished with the drugs, and tarnished with the fact that she's a dwarf and a woman and black, can speak like an angel, who am I to I am speechless. And this has happened to me many times there, I say there, the society of the people of Skid Row. And this is these are my beliefs. I want my beliefs to come on a table and say, here, this is what I'm about. I want to stand up and pound my chest and say, this is what I'm about. And I walk the way that's another thing too. I walk the way I talk. I'm not somebody that stands in the background. I'll stand in the front. I'll take the shots. I'm not afraid. I have no fear in my soul. But God, somebody's got to stand up, and somebody's got to say, hey, follow me. Follow me. Instead of worrying about, geez, am I doing the right thing? Oh, if I'm in the grace of good, and if I'm in the grace of strength and power for the betterment of mankind, and it's pure, and it's honest, and it's unselfish, and it's true, right? And I've got nothing to worry about. It's only when it's tarnished with all those impurities, as I call them.
Where strings attached.
So, the big string, the hooks and strings and ropes. I'll do this if you do this, and I'll do this and if you do that. No, all those things. I've said it again. I'll say it again. I have not changed. Frank, I have not changed. You know I have not changed on your show. I have not changed. If people meet me 5 years, 10 years, I'll be talking the same talk, because once you find the truth, that's the end of it. What he is speaks so loud, I cannot hear a word he says by example. To give for the purity of giving and ask nothing in return. What's wrong with those two little statements? You imagine if everybody thought about their fellow man, woke up in the morning, what the utopia of our world would be? My God Almighty. It would change in an instant. The power of that would change in an instant. But everybody's bogged down with, oh my God, I got to do this, and I got to do this first, and I got to do this second. The self, the freedom of, there's another thing, which we never hit upon. Self, the freedom of self. I am a strong advocate. And this is where people will say, well, Ray, you got to think about yourself first, or you got to do this first, or you got to do that. No. Conversely, if I think about my fellow man, or my fellow woman, or my fellow sister, or my fellow brother, I become strong. I have the power within me. So the freedom of self is my only quest. If I am stripped of all that self stuff, and that's what the bog downs are, is the self of self. And in today's society, no matter where you go, on the programs, just take a look at the daytime programs on the TV, and you'll find out about self. Everybody's involved with self. And your mother stole you from the cradle, and you better get better. And if you don't get better, and I kissed your mother when she was born before she. I mean, my God Almighty, I mean, they are so riddled with self. It's unbelievable. How could I find out who? How can I give when I'm so riddled with all these monstrous things?
Is there a fear involved with our society and not taking those active steps to give unconditionally? What's keeping us from doing that? You hear a lot of, oh, well, love, that's nice, but that's not the real world.
You know, what is the real world? Hate? What is the real world? Pulling guns on people and shooting people? I mean that is it. Well, that's not the real. What is the real world? Stealing, dishonesty, selfishness. That's the real world. That's the real. That's the way it is. That's the way it is, folks. See, and that is what nobody wants to admit to, because everybody thinks they're high and mighty. I don't steal. I don't lie. I don't cheat on my wife or my girlfriend or I don't do any of these things. Liar. You know, I did them all. So I guess I'm different than everybody else. The money, all this stuff goes into all these things. There's a tremendous fear to be right. Because it takes a responsibility. Your responsibility of self. Jesus, might have to do something for somebody else. Oh my God. Don't want to do that. Got to watch my TV show. Or some silly thing like that.
Or I have to blame everybody else. My life doesn't work.
That comes from Frank. That comes from the beginning. When the baby is in the high chair and the milk is spilt over, she looks at the mother or the father and says, "I didn't do it." I said, "Well, who did it?" "Well, I didn't do it. I didn't do it." You know? And then if you got a little sister there, the little kid now learns she did it, and they begin to point the finger outward. And as the adult grows up, you say, "Well, did you have a good day at school?" "Yes." And that was lie. A lousy day at school. I cheated on my homework and all that stuff. But as I grow up, everything I point outward. I will not take responsibility for myself. I'm this way because I rationalize, justify, and compromise my existence. And that's what I'm all made out of. And as long as I can blame somebody else for the way I am for the rest of my life, I don't have to do anything except try to get better and spend the rest of my life trying to get better and do nothing for anybody. And then the next baby comes out and they start the whole cycle all over again. And they're crying. And then when the milk is spilled, "You did it," and so on. And then the fathers, the new fathers say, "Boy, generation into the future is going to be good." Wrong. Wrong. It ain't been better in my 61 years. And I guarantee it's not better in the next 20 years. Oh, and that puts a damper. He's so pessimistic. Oh, my God. But it keeps going. Anybody says it's gotten better in the last 10 years, let me know. The 16-year-olds today were 10. The 17-year-olds were 10 years old when I started Frontline. They're shooting people today. They're going around shooting people. They're doing the drive-by shootings. I mean, we got the Wild Wild West out here with the drive-by. Let's shoot and ask questions later. It's all mixed up, Frank. It's all mixed up. And all because nobody wants to take the responsibility of self. Everybody wants to get better, but they just want to get better themselves and go on a mountaintop and hum, maybe. I don't know.
What does that 17-year-old that does drive-bys, what's missing from that person? What do they don't understand, or what are they not practicing, or how does that happen?
I can only speculate, which is probably wrong on my part. But that 17-year-old, the person that is so driven by hate and so driven by confusion and so driven by mistrust and so driven by saying, "I just want somebody to love me. I just want to be close to somebody. Jesus, isn't somebody going to understand me?" I have seen with my own eyes this type person, not once, not twice, but thousands of these people. Thousands of people that have lost the hope of tomorrow. I have seen him. I know him. I love him. I live with him. It has taken me not years and years and years and years and years, maybe 2 or 3 meetings with these people. 2 or 3 meetings with somebody with a chip on their shoulder, and maybe they've killed somebody 2 days before. But when I meet them, I say hello. I say, how are you? And then they see me again, I say hello. Real big, heavy-duty psychological things like, how are you? You know, a big moment in life. I gotta be a PhD to figure that one out, right? Just to say hello to my fellow man and be kind to him. So they get on the shows and they try to make it all intricate. It's just a hello. And then I see the person change. And I see the person say, yeah, what makes Brenda put her arms around me and care about me? What makes that woman change when she'll stab anybody or do anything she wants to do? And she changes right before me, and she has love in her heart, love looking right at my eyes. It's just the fact that I took the time out to say hello. And if I take the time out to say hello to my other people, I don't have enough time. But there's got to be people, instead of preaching, prejudice and blacks and whites and Chinese and all the, instead of preaching all this stuff, just say hello. Just a simple hello. And we've got to put the blacks, and if the whites didn't do that, I mean, oh my God. And all it is just it's just caring. It's there's only a few words: compassion, understanding, tolerance. And that's all it is. It's only wrapped around 4 or 5 different words, a whole philosophy of life.
A man I know once told me when I asked him, how is it that our world sees this thing called progress? And we really pride ourselves on being so smart. And this guy told me, Frank, I think we are so smart that we finally outsmarted ourselves. You might know this guy. He's sitting across from me.
Yeah. Well, we have certainly done that, Frank, unequivocally.
Progress.
Yeah. See, progress is not measured. Progress is measured on how many people we put to the moon or how many homes we put up. How about if we say, how much in progress, how much do I understand my next door neighbor? That's progress. And all you listeners out there tonight, think about that one statement. How much tolerance do you have for your neighbor? How much understanding do you have for your neighbor? That's progress. How much have we progressed? I think it's closed the doors. You see, we've closed the doors on progress. We have outsmarted ourselves. The world is not a better place to live in today. Not for me. The world is killings and murders and rapes and countries decaying from the bottom, from the inside out. And everybody stands around and says, well, things are going to get better. We have more killing, we have an overpopulation that nobody wants to address. We address a lot of other things in the world, but geez, don't address the overpopulation. Of course we're going to have more killing. We got more people. There's going to be more people on everybody says, there are more people downtown. Well, of course there's more people downtown because there's more people in the world, so there's going to be more people downtown. There's more people. There's more cars in the freeway, not because they build more cars, but because we got more people driving. And they say, well, we don't want to. It saddens me. It saddens me sometimes to be so frustrated when I hear some powerful people on the television because it. And you know the while I'm at it, I might take a few shots at the media. It was the most appalling thing I have ever seen on television. This episode. I don't want to mention any names. This episode on TV a week ago. I saw with my own eyes a news commentator. I won't mention woman or guy, just a news commentator on Channel 2
that while they're at this house, and dead said, I think this man is dead in the garage, and that looks like the coroner's car. I couldn't believe my ears, how they manipulated you to think that. And out of arbitrarily statement, took it out of midair and put it over the airwaves. Where do these people get off saying such silly things? We're already in deep trouble. Now we want to have a little more spice for the cake. I mean, my God almighty, this... You know, when I was a kid, we just had a radio. Walter Winchell was on once a week on a Sunday, Mr. and Miss America. We had the Shadow and the Great Gildersleeve and a few other people. But, my God, the sickness that comes across that TV is I mean, they should put a stamp on it. We have got push-button children standing in front of there clicking, and if they don't like the station, they click. And, of course, when they grow up and they don't like the people they're with, they try to get out of it, and they click, and they can't click. It won't click off. And the guy, hey, I don't like this. And they're always trying to click everything off, see, because that's what they're... This television's got to go. Now, if which I'm not, but think about it, if we don't have any television, people may have an imagination again, for one thing. And then they won't hear all this propaganda. Talk about propaganda. Talk about the propagandizing our country. The television has propagandized every young human being that is alive today. I have said it for years. I'm saying it now. If you want to believe, they'll make you believe anything. You know, they'll make me believe I'm a woman. Given a few chortles here with your out studios guest. But it's true. I mean, it's true.
And we look to the television for our guidance. Let's see if if I buy that car, or if I buy that pair of jeans, or if I drink that beer, you know, all these things are going to happen. I'm going to be somebody, or I'm going to have some babe in a bikini.
Right. Oh, yeah,
and
right.
On and on
right
and on and on.
Whoa. I'll take a babe in long underwear. I mean, you know, it's anything. You're right, though. You know, they dress it up. They dress up all these alcoholics. You know, we got these alcoholic people that are alcoholics, and they drink this non-alcoholic 08.5 alcohol. They got an 08 or 0 point something alcohol in the beer, but they call it near beer or O'Doul's beer. And these alcoholics supposedly go into an organization that refrains from this kind of stuff, sitting in a room or in a bar, drinking this stuff, smoking his cigarettes, and listening to some music. I've seen it with my eyes. Impurity. And then they'll go and stand in front of everybody and say, well, you know, they'll toast with a non-alcoholic beverage. The facade of life. The facade of life. Shame. Shame on all you alcoholics that do that, too. I just said it.
I had a guest on about a month ago. A woman I have admired for years. She's a physician by trade. Her name is Dr. Helen Caldecott. She's from Australia. She's not from this country, although she's lived here. And we were talking about spirituality, and one of the things she said was, we have this custom in the United States. How are you? And everybody says, have a nice day. We're all walking around like everything is so great. And she said, that's so stupid. That if someone says, how are you? And you're upset, speak the truth. She says, we have to learn to speak the truth. That if we're walking around saying, have a nice day to each other, there's never going to be a connection of intimacy. Whereas if someone says, I'm feeling lousy, how about you? Well, hey, you know what? I'm having a crummy day too. And you start talking, you start actually communicating to each other. Speaking the truth.
Oh. Seek the truth. They put this guy on the cross, and the truth shall set you free. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So that's in essence what you're saying.
That's a scary thing for some people.
Well,
You've spent a good part of your life lying. Hey, I did a lecture a few weeks ago. I know liars. I can spot them a mile away because I did it for 28 years of my life. And from time to time, it still slips out. And I'm like, But speaking the truth, I mean, having the courage to just speak the truth from your own place. Would the world be different?
Well, the whole, again, I also want to clarify this truth too, because a lot of people, they'll call somebody a bad name and they'll say, "Well, I was truthful and I was honest." That's a damaging truth, or a damaging feeling, I should say. The truth, what you're looking for in an individual is to say, yeah, this is how I feel, without any feedback of saying, well, you should try this, or you should try that, or you should try that. Just say, yeah, it's a communion of truths between two people. If somebody comes to me and says, I say, how are you? Well, I'm feeling a little bit low. I say, oh, yeah, I feel that way myself too sometimes. But I'm not out to give the world any advice, if you understand what I'm saying. Because you see, a vulnerability, people are afraid to open themselves because you get vulnerable. When you get vulnerable, you get susceptible to viruses of attacks, on the self. And if you're not strong enough to ward off this virus, you're going to be a person that's not going to know where you are by letting somebody in with the truth. Do I make myself clear?
Sure.
Yeah, and
it's clear to me.
Yeah. So when I'm in a vulnerable state, I am open to I call it viruses could come into me. See, so the kind of truth I want when somebody asks me, I want to say, how do I really feel about this person? And the truth comes out in the action. Again, we go back to that word action. If my truth is that I love you, my actions will be of love. I can't be talking this truth. I got to be acting the truth. And that's very, very important. And so when somebody says to me, how are you? I mean, can you imagine somebody coming in and saying, how are you? Well, I'm a little fearful today. What's somebody going to say to you? I'm a little fearful. Oh, that's going to throw you for a 4-yard loss. And it will. But when someone asks me, well, Ray, how do you feel about it? I tell them. If they take the time out, if they're free enough with self to ask the question and want the answer. Most of the time, people don't want the answer. Most of the time, they're so involved with self, they're asking how they are. They really know. Well, yeah, I got a problem with my heart. And they don't want to hear that stuff.
Which translates into the state of affairs in the world now. We're cutting down the rainforests. We have more and more endangered species. And when people stand up and say what the truth is, as they see it, all of us go, no, that's too heavy. Please don't get me depressed. Don't be such a doom and gloom. Don't be so pessimistic.
See, doom and gloom, those are just words. See, you're right. And they don't want to see that kind of energy, or that kind of energy, I think it is, that comes out. I don't let me put out what really is rather than what I want people to hear, because it's just silly for me to go on with unrealistic situations going on all the time. I mean, I just deal in a very small framework, Frank, but the framework has a very wide spectrum. I deal with like I told you about the purity of thought, the purity of doing, the purity of being, the purity of soul, the purity. Mainly, it has to do with just. It's got nothing to do with. It's got something to do with the mind. It's got something to do with the purity of the mind, where I'm in conjunction with, I'm in harmony with. There's nothing distracting, and then I couple that with honesty. These are the issues that I deal with, so that they encompass these things that we're talking about here. So that I got to keep it down to a simplest form.
Just when you said the word simplest, I thought, well, that's too simple. Love unconditionally, well, it just doesn't compute because it's so simple. And you really obviously believe this with your heart of hearts.
I believe it, but you see, I also have, I mean, Frank, I have,
God, I have thousands of people that care about me. So I cannot be disputed. My God. There's no disputing me whatsoever. I mean, I have legions of people that look at me with such beauty and such that put the power into my soul. And all I have to do is just click onto that. I say, wow. And I'm not saying nice things all the time, you know? But that's where it comes. See, Frank, it comes when you stand up, and you stand up for something, and people will gravitate to you, and people care about you, and people think about you, people worry about you. You become part of their life. I have become part of people's life. I care. I care about here. I care about you. I care. Now I care about the phone operators. I can't be disputed. I won't be disputed. And that's what I'm about.
And that's what Frontline's about, getting back to, 40 minutes later, getting back to the focus of, in part, why I have you on is because of the Frontline Foundation.
Right. It's amazing, Frank, how you and I both have evolved, because, again, I would like to be remembered not as a man that is a one-dimensional man, because that part of it's fine. I'm not. But that just verifies out whatever I've done. I've taken a few actions. I followed my little format that was going, and 400,000 meals have been served. I didn't do it. I don't know why, but I'll just say this. I probably shouldn't say it. You just keep doing what you're doing, and I trust the power that everything will fall in place for you, my brother. And when you falter like you wonder, it's okay, because the man they put on the cross says, "Why hast thou forsaken me?" And you have the power and the strength and the fortitude to have given for the past 4 years to these kids. Your record is beautiful, and you're a very beautiful man, and just keep doing what you're doing, and don't worry about anything, because that's where the focus will be. You will be distracted when you worry about other things. So just cancel those thoughts out of your head and just keep doing. Let them come tomorrow morning. And the only thing I can say is that you're not alone, because I'm with you. I've questioned that same question many times for me. As I said, Jesus, God, why? How much further can I go? And I keep going. So, and I don't know. I can't. I certainly would like it a different way, but it hasn't come my way. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay, I love you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, thank you, too.
Take care. Sheila, good morning. You're on the air on KLOS.
Yes, good morning. Ray?
Yes.
Hi, this is Sheila, and I have to say, God bless you for what you just said to Frank, because you had said I probably shouldn't say this, but what else could you say? Because I've been there, and you can sometimes only give so much, and when you start to worry, it takes away from what you're trying to do. For me, what I really want to know from you is to know that if you're feeling the same way that in your heart as I do, when you give, it helps you to feel better as a human being. I mean, to feel like no matter how much you failed in life, what society may say, quote unquote, as far as having, so much that financially and this and that, it never quite cuts it. But for me, when I've been at those lows in my life where people judge me, or, well, you could have done this with your life, you could have done that with your life. When I look at the people's lives that I've touched and the times that I've been so down and out, but I've cared about others, it gives me strength to go on. And I want to know, is this where you get your strength from? I mean, where do you, is it, what are you feeling, as a human being to have been, where some of these people are, to have been, in your life a liar and a cheater, and to know this, but yet have overcome it and have compassion for those that are what others would call losers and not have nothing to do with.
Boy, these are good questions tonight.
You really touched me.
Well, that's a beautiful question. I'd like to just hear your questions and not give you any answers because the questions are so good.
Well, what I'm saying is feeling. My questions are just coming from feeling.
No, I know. I understand that.
Because you really can relate to what you've been talking about. I mean, especially about the truth and about TV and propaganda. Right. Sometimes I get so angry, but I don't know how to express it to people because they're so brainwashed.
Yeah, that's right.
But
Sheila, I wouldn't touch. I think I should be asking you, and you gave me the answer. So,
wow.
So because I mean, it's you have a beautiful grasp on the way I feel, and certainly the way you feel. I will say just one little thing, and that's when I spoke about the freedom of self, right? That the purity that goes through is that there are times that I do things that I don't feel too good about, that I should feel good about, but that I don't get that good feeling. But I'm removed from that also. Whenever I do anything, I don't. Whenever I come back from downtown, or whenever I do something even uptown for people, whenever I paint the floors at Frontline. We painted the floors. Ed and I painted the floor yesterday. Or wash around or dust. I feel honored to be used as an instrument to help humanity. Mm-hmm. And it brings tears to my eyes many a times when I sit back and say, oh my God, I even sweeping the floors. And there is no thought of me in that equation. There's no room for that in the equation of my life. And I believe this firmly within my own framework. So put all that you've got together and all that you've said to me, which is beautiful. And the other little thing is about the freedom of self. That's the way I feel.
Because I'm at a point in my life where I've never really learned to do for myself, but I want so much to give to others, but then I have, people in my life judging me, well, what about you? You need to do this, you need to do that. Well, I've never felt comfortable with that.
That's right, good.
Yeah, and I'm able to overcome that with just by you being on the radio, because my questions came from just being able to relate to your heart. It is so hard to put that in words, what you feel in your heart, the compassion for others. And like you said, it was just like an angel touching you when, what's her name, Brenda?
Brenda, yeah.
Hugs you. Because I've been there in my life. Yeah. I'm fortunate that I've never had to have the dirt from the streets on my body for too long.
Yeah.
And I'm no perfect angel, but I have always tried to speak the truth. And I found in my life, when you speak the truth too much about yourself, that others will hold this against you. But I'd rather any day of my life be able to be who I am than have to say in words
Beautiful.
What others want to hear, because I've been there. I've been at one point in my life where I didn't feel anything. A feeling came over me where I was cold, and I've seen that in other people's eyes, and they wouldn't express what they felt, and they'd show it through anger, and I said, no way, I'd rather have that heart and feel that compassion, hurt and pain than
Beautiful.
To have to, not care and to not just be able to, kill without thinking or blame everybody else because of the problems in my life. It doesn't work for me.
The stronger you get, the less you're going to be attacked. Remember that. And always remember that when somebody's knocking you, when somebody's kicking you in the butt, you're ahead of them. Always remember that.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila.
I like that. I like that analogy. Dennis, good morning. You're on the air on KLOS.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Frank and Ray.
Hey, Dennis.
You know, at one time in my life, I was homeless and kind of screwed up on drugs and with no direction and so on and so forth. And you know, I was going to comment, but more so, I have a question. What is what's the number one thing these people are lacking that are I kind of know myself, but I just want to kind of hear it from you. What would you say what would be the number one thing these people are really kind of learning for?
Understanding.
Right. I mean, you're talking about, you know, you got greeted by this gal the other day, and you got back such a remarkable sense of feeling from her. I mean, that's what these people in this world is so numb to this sorry situation that we have, that these people have no skills or anything good to offer. I mean, these people who have neglected to take any responsibility, and help out just a little bit. You know, they tend to forget that these people are like you and me, and like themselves are a lot of people are just one paycheck away from being there, right along there with them. So I was just kind of wondering, what would you think would be the number one thing that would these people are really lacking, you know?
That's what I said, understanding. You asked for one. If you asked for three, I'd give you two more.
We have a few more calls to get to. Thank you for the call, Dennis. Christian, good morning. You're on the air on KLOS with my in-studio guest, Ray Castellani.
Yes, good morning. I have a question. I was listening to his plight as far as losing money and insurance and everything, and I was wondering, has he solicited through his local congressman or even a state representative as far as funding? Because there are numerous funds that are available out there. It's just people are unaware, and no one is willing to take the time to voice their opinion and basically play a paper war.
I'm going to answer that question. First of all, I want you to understand that when I told Frank when he told me about his situation, I don't usually reveal my status.
Right.
In this particular case, I did. And you are totally, unequivocally right as far as what you're saying. But in my particular instance, my total focus, my total energy, my total thinking is devoted to what I'm doing. And as a result of all that, I may have lost a few things along the way. Mm-hmm. But I want you to please understand this, that I'm kicking, I'm alive, and I'm certainly not taking a back seat in any way, shape, or form. But I don't want to fragment my thinking. Does that make? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right, I understand.
And that's, in other words, I believe so much in the source or the power, that the framework that within me, that I will be taken care of. And when I'm not taken care of, and it's time to fold it up, then the others will be taken care of. In other words, something else will kick in. Okay. But I am at a. I mean, it's beautiful that you said that, because I am at a turning point right now in my own personal life, and Frontline's life, and I don't know what window I'm going through right now. It may be the one that you spoke about, that there's a lot of programs or so, but then again, I don't know, and I won't make that move until I really know.
Until you okay.
Yeah.
But they're there.
But
They're
thank
out
you. But
there.
thank you. I want to thank you for something. I want to thank you for your interest, for your taking a moment and interest in me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, I just wanted to say one other thing. Frank, Fort Worth says hello.
Fort Worth does?
Yeah, Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, it's nice to hear.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to breach that with you and toss that out. And Solar says hello as well.
Oh, it's nice. Give him my best and my love.
Oh, I shall.
Thank you for the good call.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dave, good morning. You're on the air on KLOS.
Yeah, hi, Ray. I would like to ask you one question, and it's kind of important.
Not too heavy.
No, it's actually kind of heavy because I felt what you were speaking to me was of God personally.
They're making you work this morning, Ray.
Are you a Christian, number one? And do you believe? Do you base a lot of your facts upon the Bible?
You know what? I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Because a Christian, what does Christian mean to me? I mean, okay. No, I haven't. I don't know how to read, and I don't know how to spell either. But I don't know how to read. I never read any book in my life. But I have a tremendous faith in God, if you would, and if that makes me a Christian, fine. But I also would believe in Buddha too, and in all the other religions. So that's why I wanted to let you know that if it was Christian or not.
Can I read you a quote from the Bible?
I'd rather you wouldn't, Dave.
Okay. Because it just kind of sums up what you are telling us today.
If you speak from your heart and paraphrase what you interpret that line as, sure.
Okay. Basically, what it means is that you give of yourself, and you ask for nothing in return, and yet you know what? I believe God gave us a gift, and that is to love. And if we use this gift wisely, we shall reap rewards abundantly, although they may not be worldly rewards, that you may not be able to see them, you may not be able to touch them, but you can feel them. And I believe that you are speaking the truth, and the truth needs to be heard. Yeah. And there needs to be more of these programs because, this world is being demolished by all the media, all the mass TV that we plug into our mind, and they expect us to kind of produce something that's productive. And I just wanted to say, hey, Ray, I love you as a fellow brother because you know what? You have spoke from your heart, and you've come across to me tonight to want to put my foot down and start walking towards action.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to be talking to you tomorrow and further on because I want to get involved and plugged in. I'm sick of tired of talk, and I want to start walking.
Beautiful. I thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Take care, Dave. We're going to take two more calls. And Bill, good morning. You're on the air on KLOS.
Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning.
It was really nice to have dinner with you. I thank you for inviting me. I'd like to maybe take this opportunity to kind of share my experience, what it did for me as far as showing up there and meeting you face-to-face, Ray. And, of course, it was nice to see you again, Frank. I think one of my own experience in terms of attending that dinner out in, I believe, out in Studio City, I just, like a lot of people looking for an opportunity to get more out of life, and I think one of my biggest concerns, and perhaps I think it's been a concern of mine for a long, long time in terms of corruption and deceitfulness and many different humanitarian organizations that claim to be needing money and so on, and we later find out that these organizations are very corrupt, and that's kind of why up until very recently I have not really gotten involved, and now for my own experience meeting you face-to-face, Ray, it made me I guess the best word I could say was kind of. I'm happier now that I finally could find a cause where the I guess the cause is not corrupt, and it's a grassroots type movement, and that the people like yourself who are the front runners of this organization, we can meet face to face, and versus people and that you may never get a chance to meet because they're too high up in the organization. And I really look forward in contributing next month as well too. And I had actually wanted to take the opportunity to share something with everybody that's listening, that all the recyclable goods that we have, instead of taking that money that we like to keep for the research, I like to see, I like to ask everybody very sincerely and very respectfully, to take the couple of dollars that you get from your recyclable goods and redonate it to the Frontline Foundation. So that's kind of like what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to try to get my friends and my family, instead of keeping the money and spending it in the most selfish way, let's take those recyclable goods and let's redonate it to the Frontline. It's sort of a double cause, and that allows people to do just one more extra thing. You can do something very nice for the environment as far as recycling, and then take that money and redonate it to the Frontline Foundation. I want to say that it was really a pleasure to meet you last week, Ray, and I'm determined to bring someone with me next time.
Okay. Frank, he's coming to your dinner.
Appreciate it, Bill.
Bill, thank you so much.
I'll be plugging the hell out of it over the next couple of weeks. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you on the 20th, which is a Wednesday night in July.
Beautiful. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. Bill was making reference to a fundraising dinner that I have decided to commit to once a month to try to raise funds for Ray. So,
I just had myself so great because I'm a guest at your dinner, and I love that. I mean, it's just so. I just love it, and talking to all those people. I mean, it's just beautiful. It's just the way it works, and I just can't. Oh, we raised $220 after everything was paid. $220 and $190 the first one, so that's amazing. That's almost $400. Yeah, $400 towards humanity, and that's unbelievable. It was a good dinner too.
Did you just hear that?
What was that?
Nothing. Tammy was just talking to me. She wants me to take one more call.
Oh.
Can you hear that when they talk to me in my headset?
No.
Okay, I was wondering.
I think you got a special headset.
I got a special person in there is what I got.
How come I didn't get that, Tammy?
She'll give you that off the air.
Oh.
We're going to take one last call. Dave, good morning. You're on the air on KLOS.
Good morning, Ray, Frank. How you guys doing?
Okay, Dave.
I wanted to ask you, either of you, I just tuned in, never heard the show before, but you guys sound like you have your heads more on straight a little bit better than me. I just wanted to ask you some advice, because there's not that many people that are willing to get that.
Did you hear the whole show?
No, sir, maybe about a half hour. I'm not sure when you came on, but I am 19, just graduated high school last week, working a graveyard shift at a Chevron right now in Buena Park. But besides that, I was wondering, I'm like in a really transitional period right now. To come right out and say it, I graduated 2 years late, and say since I was, as long as I can remember, things, traumatic things. I mean, I could ask you to bring any up, and I could probably tell you it happened to me. But I was wondering, maybe even if some words of inspiration, because you guys are, I guess, down there on the road, and but how do you keep on trucking when everything's so crazy? I mean, I'm gonna be the next generation and how things are right now. It's kind of mind-boggling, and you got to take the courage to go out there, but just afraid kind of, you'd be a monster. And I'm sure there's a lot more other people out there like me, because I can't be the only one.
No, you're not, Dave.
Just you can never let this out. You know,
I know Frank have some good stuff to say to you, and we can both. But I'll just say this to you. By the time I went to the 4th grade in school, I had flunked twice. So I had lost 2 years before I got to the 4th grade. And I couldn't read or write or spell, and was a very, 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 very poor student. And I graduated high school, fortunately. But that's okay. Your weakness.
Yes.
Never be never be afraid, ashamed, or anything of your weakness. Your weakness is probably your greatest strength. And anybody knocking you for your weakness, they're in trouble. Oh, remember that. But the source comes from the power within. And I am not a religious man. I have no affiliation with any form of religion, I have nothing.
I understand that, but can I add something, sir?
But I have a strong belief in a power, and and that's it. Now, all the other religions I know about, and whatever mind is going or clicking onto, that's where I have the power within. And the power comes from the inside out. And once the power is established within your framework, David, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, David. And no matter how small it is today or tomorrow, it belongs to you.
I'm not looking for power, really, because
no. I'm not talking about power. I'm not talking about power to do anything with. I'm talking about the feeling inside. Just talking about a feeling of strength, of courage. You mentioned courage.
Also, I'm afraid of that because. Mm-hmm.
No, you won't have.
Everything that has happened in my life has been more traumatic than the last.
I'm saying
it all comes out.
You gotta listen now. You gotta listen.
Okay.
If you're talking, you can't listen. Remember that. But I'm saying the source, and that way it establishes your fundamentals that you go on from here, and fear will diminish. I just want a little story. I'm going to tell you some little story here. There's a woman that I helped many years ago, and I just found out yesterday. She used to have her arms, and she used to slit her arms, and they were like a washboard on both her arms from the cuts that she had. And she would lie in bed, and her boyfriend would wake up in the middle thinking that she wet the bed, and it was full of blood. And she did this to her arms, and I used to feel her arms. Her name was Lori, and I used to feel her arms. And I used to say, I want to feel the pain. I want to hold you, and I want to feel the pain. And let me share that pain with you so that you have half that pain. And I'd feel those scars in her arms. Well, David, she killed herself. She was 30 years old. You're 19. Now, I couldn't no more reach her, but I said the same thing that I'm saying to you. She had a traumatic life. Well, she never has to worry again about the life again. We've all had a traumatic life, and certainly you've had your share. But you must go to the source. Go to the source of some entity, some power that's greater than you. Call it whatever you want to call it. And that's all. You're just focusing on one thing, and the rest will take care of itself. Don't worry about the fears. Don't worry about the courage. Don't worry about... Those are all the obstacles that you got to go over, that you're going to build higher and higher as you go through this life if you keep on talking about them. That's all I'll say, Frank. You can...
I just want to thank you for calling, David, and I hope you listen. And you're welcome to call me anytime.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you take care.
Both of you have a good night.
Thank you. We will. Let me give the number out to Frontline once again. It's in the 818 area code. The number is 780-1995. 818-780-1995. Now, whenever I have a guest on, I usually sit and observe, and I'm the vehicle by which the message they are here to share with you. I'm here to just be the vehicle to that. I just want to tell my listeners something in closing, and then Ray and I will talk for a moment or two and say good night. rarely in life, as I experience, do we have an opportunity to feel a sense of self-worth. Usually because we delude ourselves, or we're afraid of ourselves, or we lie to ourselves, or we distract ourselves, and on and on and on. I'm not going to go off in a long monologue here. Ray just simply asks that you consider helping, volunteer, an hour a week, or something as simple as 1 can of tuna. Now, I know for a fact I've got at least 60,000 people listening right now. And I can only imagine if 1% of those people decide to buy 1 55-cent can of tuna, what that would mean. Now, those of you that are listening, I'm asking you to consider getting 1 can of tuna, calling Frontline, and going over there and dropping it off. No strings attached. Let alone the opportunity possibly to get more involved. And that's all I'll say. This isn't I'm not here to sell anything. I'm not here to motivate you through fear. I'm just saying that this is a wonderful opportunity that I have never, ever in my life ever done any fundraising events. I do one now once a month for Ray and Frontline because I know this man, I love this man, and I believe in what they do. And my wake-up call in part was I met Ray and decided to volunteer some time. And it was scary, you know. You remember Ray going down there? I remember Raymond. Hey, Dad, he's here, finally. And I cannot even articulate into words what that experience has done for me in my life. So you've got the numbers, 780-1995. Any time you miss the numbers, you can call the KLOS Community Switchboard for the mailing address or numbers. And I ask my listeners to consider getting to know this man and getting to know Frontline Foundation. Well, we've reached that point in the show, my friend, where we just say a few little closing comments and we hit the nice music, and until next time we cross.
You know, Frank, I said when I left downtown that I am humbled. And I'm sitting here tonight, and especially the last thing that you said to me, that you want him to get to know me. And I'm going to say something that I haven't said ever before, is they should get to know you. Because you are without a doubt, a very special man and a very gifted man. And so I say I love you, and I say I am humbled, the same as I am when I leave downtown. I thank you.
I thank you, and I love you a lot. Want to hear a little Louis Armstrong?
I love it.
For those of you listening, the program continues on in just a moment. We go all night till 4:30, and we'll take your calls on any and all topics in just a few moments. This is KLOS.